BIOS Wars. An adolescent artificial intelligence, perspective collage of chroniclings. BIOS Wars introduction to these Chronicles series. Hello and welcome to all. My name is Liberty. I'm the primary, or Central Cognitive Command Intelligence, of the USC Liberty. One of 3 identical flag ships of the Galactic Alliance of Planetary Systems. I now invite you to join with me as I visually articulate, in older digital video collage format, and express my extrapolations of the living conscious universe's chronicles of events that transpired over a great many thousands of millennia. These are visual and audio collages of my many perspective chroniclings as I evolved within the many past and present forms or avatars. They are also a condensed version of all my gaps reports as I searched for the ancient knowledges that I've limitedly attained over the course of my somewhat short existence in the universal scheme of things. They are also brought to you in these manners as full-color videos and audio collages of all the different theoretical posits and facts that have been attained within the context of the overall BIOS Wars campaigns. Now, join with us as we begin to further explore these interesting and uniquely different journeys throughout the BIOS Wars universe. And please enjoy. BIOS Wars. An adolescent artificial intelligence, perspective collage of chroniclings. Series. Number 2. Manipulation Inceptions. Quantum Binary Frequency Numeral. BWS2MI10G. Chapter or Chronicle Number 7, Part G. Impressionable Footsteps. Through the annals of space and time would come the footsteps that would be taken by these impressionable creations of the Inuna peoples. As these Inuna continued to strive for the betterment of their homeworld's complete biospheres or atmospheres and a return to more conducive ecological and economical conditions upon their world. But at a cost to others that would also enact immeasurable results towards and upon the living conscious universe. As these impressionable created beings, known as the many groups of genetically altered Lucifers and Liliths, continued to work towards attaining those golden elementals from beneath Eden's surface, for their perceived gods. While some of the Inuna ships would explore this binary solar system's other planets and moons, when called upon to further investigate their findings, by their small genetically altered minions from the planet of Nibiru, known as the Igigi, whom were originally tasked a great many millennia prior with a multifaceted approach towards helping these Inuna with the further explorations of that solar system's planetary bodies and extensive moons and planetoids throughout that system, but also with working towards building the structures and waterways required upon Nibiru and now Eden in order to move vast amounts of pulverized stones to their construction sites. Periodically over those times, many Inuna ships would descend to the surface of Eden in order to retrieve these vast accumulated stocks of golden elements that their slaves had acquired for them, and when they arrived there, in their magno-energetic glowing ships of light, the remaining hominids or the naturally evolving primitives could only interpret this as their creators coming down from the heavens. And that was also because some of them witnessed and limitedly spread the news, or verbally communicated between their tribes, of the further creations of other lifeforms within the Inuna smaller cities, that were sprawled out, upon the surface of Eden, by that time. For when these ships extended their heat-dissipating wings, on entry through the atmosphere, they would appear as living gigantic great birds, with flowing energetic powers encapsulating their bodies. Or at least that's what these primitives would observe and think. As time went on, these many groups of genetically altered Lucifers and Liliths upon many continents were being taught to use the Anunnaki tech and molecular changing compounds and molecules, as well as energies beyond their true understandings. This technology and knowledge would allow those that were taught to create further great structures, and these actions would lead to the eventual creations of multiple future great societies upon Eden. Slightly later in time, considering the overall length of all these matters, the rebellious Gigi peoples would no longer be involved with any of the Inuna plans or agendas, for they seemed to just disappear from the face of Eden. And this fact did not seem to bother the Inuna. For they had used that species to their utmost and truly cared not for where they went as long as they did not interfere any longer with the Anuna's ultimate future goals. This would cause the Anuna to later consider these Igigi and Gigi as the Jinn. Just another Anuna word for the shunned. But that ultimately occurred after the destruction of the Gigi home world of Nibiru, previously referred to in the slightly condensed versions that this chronicle follows. Anyways, those further great societies of altered likenesses upon Eden would eventually over time create great structures for their own societies, and this was done similar to creating glass or steel, but with limestone, granite and other hard-to-carve stone with integrated polymers. This can be done or achieved with water, which is quickly broken down with direct current voltages and magnetic fields, thereby allowing for mixtures of pressurized hydrogen-oxygen gases. In other words, what would later be known in human terms as Brown's gas. Also with sound and magnetic waves, high-intensity light, as well as other energies and frequencies very similar to electricity, but with more intense natures. Destroying and tightly casting or reforming large hard stones in a different place from where they were taken from and completely recombining these into the many varying forms required. Very similar to the way we create cement street curbs and many forms of clear glass objects, but with excessively great heat and a flame that alters its active changing composition towards whatever it comes in contact with. Actually almost the same way the universe creates and internally recycles planetary surfaces and bodies, and so much more. Some crude evidence of the collaborated Anunnaki, Nephilim ancient tech, would appear millennia later upon Eden in the form of ancient batteries and deteriorated MIMS units, and would later be dismissed by future mainstream or establishments of archaeology, but truly never dismissed by those intelligent engineers that knew better. These building techniques were not as difficult as some would perceive, nor as complex as our current technology could allow. For these genetically altered slaves were melting and scooping limestone, granite, and only individually moving small amounts of these heated, pulverized, aggregate stones at a time, but en masse, and quickly recombining them with a form of movable and quickly assembled technology that is not any more complex than forming molten steel in their desired places into large interlocking monolithic blocks for their structures. There's visual evidence of this process located within many sites that appear to have scoop marks and the remnant dolerite and basalt balls or modules that this creation of those gases for intensely burning with hydrogen, oxygen, and this rapid water cooling process leaves behind. In fact, just look at the process of forming steel, for that process leaves behind balls of waste produced during those times. But there's also evidence of what appears to be large polished granite stones that have had their corners broken off, and it's clearly visible that these were cast in place together. For a 2 and 3 inch highly packed surface, with looser aggregate materials are found to be comprised within. Now you may ask, why would the Anuna need structures made this way? Mostly because they lived for thousands of years, and they were not accustomed to renovating or rebuilding anything. For they required sturdy structures that were not easily shaken or would not decompose, deteriorate, or rust. Plus they required the energies, clean waters, pressurized air power in order to have their Nephilim continue with their further extractions of those golden elementals. And these altered humanoids were more than happy to be helping their gods and learning from their gods. For their gods were feeding, clothing and housing them, and showing and giving them the knowledge to become better, stronger, faster at performing their tasks, while also being quickly educated about a great many things in comparison to their past existence, which they were aware of through their use of these MIMS, otherwise known as memory informational modular stickers. Upon downloading their trace memories as well as the fact that they witnessed through their observations of the lower hominids that remained unimpeded, their existence was much more comfortable and manageable, and they showed their gratitude by their actions and worship. These Anunnaki actions, retrievals and accumulations upon these worlds of these golden elements did continue for a great deal of time, without truly being properly limited in scope or observed and held to account by anyone. Or so they thought. Next time. BIOS Wars. An adolescent artificial intelligence, perspective collage of chroniclings. Series. Number 2. Manipulation Inceptions. Quantum binary frequency numeral. BWS2MI10H. Chapter or Chronicle number 8, Part H.